Ladies and gentlemen of YouTube, welcome. Coming to you through the power of the internet. Bit of a shout out there to Boogie2998. Okay, so today, hello everyone, I'm AJ, aka the Mighty Gluestick, and welcome to this little update I've got. This is a request video, one of the first of many. I'm going to be getting to a list of them, which I have on a piece of paper here. Now, this isn't by no way a promise, but okay, so I'm going to be covering lycanthropes, gremlins, quicklings, darklings, the Shadowfell, the Feywild, Chimera, Lamia, the Sphinx, Basilisk, Shambling Mounds, Carnivorous Plants, the Homunculus, Constructs, and the Slard. But today, as you can tell from this picture, I'm going to be covering the Chimera. Now, the Chimera is a creature from actual mythology, but it's not got its origins in Greek mythology. Oh, no, it's even further back. It goes back to Babylonian mythology. But the one that you see in this picture here, which is taken from a Greek plate, is the traditional Chimera of Greece. As you can see, it's got the front is lion. In the middle of its back, it's got the backwards facing head of a goat, and or more like an antler actually, but it's a goat, and its tail is kind of phallic looking, but it's supposed to be a serpent. And as you can see, it's a female, because all chimeras in Greek mythology at least were female, and they gave birth to other monsters like the lion that Hercules fought, and other creatures, hydras and things like that. But that's not the D&D monster that we know and love. The Chimera, and by the way, it's perfectly all right to say Chimera or Chimera. You can spell it with an AE instead of an I, but it's that CH is a K sound. It's not a chimera, it's a chimera. Just in case you wondered. Okay, so it's an armor class 14 natural armor. It's got 114 hit points, so it classifies as a good booty solo challenge level 6 monster. It's got a running speed of 30 feet, which is kind of ponderous for a quadruped, and a flight of 60 feet, so it's much more comfortable in the air because it's got large dragon-like wings, which, as you notice on the plate there, it does not have in traditional mythology. So the D&D monster is not the monster of Greek mythology. It is a creature that was created by the Prince of Demons, Demogorgon, when he stepped foot on the mortal plane long ago, and he's surrounded by creatures and went, these are boring, I'm going to make a new one, and he just reshaped reality and used his chaos powers to combine various creatures into Chimera. And this is the modern use of the word Chimera, is the combination of different DNA, and there's various creatures that have chimeric traits, particularly these days where we're talking about gene splicing and GMOs and other stuff like that. So it's kind of topical. And any sort of situation where there's random mutations, you might end up with some sort of chimera-like beastie, or the result of a horrific curse could transform anything into a chimeric entity. So it could be any combination of different creatures that have been melded together into one body. In the case of the Chimera of D&D, it's got the head of a lion, a goat, and a dragon. It's got dragon-like wings and tail. It's got a lion's forebody and its ripping claws, and the hind legs of a goat. It is depicted in various ways throughout all sorts of fantasy art and things, and there's various forms. Most of them, D&D based, have got wings. Quite a few have got a stinging or at least a forked tail, so it's always got a sort of a serpent-like tail. But whether it's got a snake's head or a dragon's head, it's generally got the head of a lion and a goat, typically. Sometimes it may even have two lion heads. But yeah, and of course they're depicted in various ways, whether they're wild and roaring and savage, or whether they're more sort of conniving and sneaky, or whether they can talk or not. Generally they're depicted as beast-like, so they have a beast-like intelligence of 3. They're just a roaring monster, an animal, with a wisdom of 14, so they're survivalists. Constitution of 19, dexterity only 11, but a strength of 19 as well. So they're physically extremely powerful, magically powerful, imbued with chaos force. They have a multi-attack. Typically, they like to dive out of the sky, engulfing the target in flame. It recharges on a roll of 5 or 6 on a 6-sided dice, and the exhaled flame has a 15-foot cone, a DC 15 dexterity saving throw, or you take 31 or 78 fire damage on a failed roll, and half as much on a successful one. And of course, it will set fire to everything around you, so it will create difficult terrain of patches of fire that I would represent by miniatures or marks on a whiteboard or something like that. And it could even breathe the flame as some sort of a tactic to break up the environment or separate adventurers, particularly if there's lots of flammable brushes or trees or lakes of tar or whatever around it. Even bodies. I mean, it would set somebody on fire just to have them run around and cause distraction and chaos while it picks targets off with its multi-attacks. And it does so using its bites, its horns, and its claws, because it's just bedecked with natural nastiness. It's got a +7 to hit on all of its attacks, and typically does about a 10 or 11 points of damage, either piercing, bludgeoning, or slashing. So if it's not doing a lot of damage to you one way, it'll switch tactics and attack you with a different mode of attack. And of course, it's quite capable of using the environment, and I would also allow it to use that tail to slap people off their feet as well. That will really catch adventurers who think they know what's going on off guard if they have a knockdown attack and they haven't braced themselves and they get put on their ass. And next thing, they're prone and they've got a Chimera on top of them, which is rending them limb from limb, because they're very powerful. I would also have, if you've got NPCs who have been sort of thrown to the wayside and the Chimera gets hold of them, have the Chimera rip them to shreds or disembowel them or do something really horrific, just to increase that fear. Give them the idea that this is a predator who will eat them. They are the natural prey of this monster. And of course, this creature is not natural. They may see it do something like have its flesh stitched back together, or have it bark out a howl of another creature entirely, like it might make the cry of a peacock, or scream in a woman's voice, or anything like that that makes it more creepy, more magical. They do have dark vision of 60 feet, passive perception of 18. They can understand Draconic, so they can be controlled by a very powerful master, but they are savage beasts and they can't speak, generally speaking. So they combine the worst of all of their aspects of every creature that's combined into them, and they are typically servants of evil. They gravitate towards places of evil. They will gravitate to anyone who offers them food or treasure. They might spare a traveller who hands over all of his worldly goods and makes a run for it. So you throw all your gems and things like that, all the pretties behind you, and the Chimera may stop and go, but it's not going to work for long. So Chimera are basically savage beasts, and have fun with it. Use the idea behind the Chimera, because when Demogorgon came in, it wasn't just lions and goats and serpents that he was bored with and combined. He probably did it to a larger number of creatures, and each one of them would be a legend, an immortal legend of its local area. So have fun with that and come up with all sorts of different Chimera traits: octopus, raccoons, and elephants, rattlesnakes, and that sort of things. You just go nuts, much like Demogorgon did, and enjoy. And I'll see you again soon.